Right. Welcome, everybody, to the next and current episode of the Jonathan David Detox Show. Today, I am excited to bring on another powerhouse guest because that's what I do. I bring on the people that are detoxing their minds, their bodies, everything we've been conditioned with in this world to live a healthier and better life. And today, we have Michael Ferguson, known on Instagram as @MichaelFergie. And Michael is an avid health enthusiast who has studied health for over 20 years through his own personal health challenges and now shares his wisdom, his abundance, his freedom, everything that he's cultivated with the world. And so, Michael, welcome on the show today, brother. It's good to have you.
Jonathan, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Seriously.
Well, today's going to be a powerhouse conversation. And yeah, Michael, I'd love to just start off with a brief introduction, man. And I say brief. I know what it's like when people ask me to do that. It's not usually brief, but give us a rundown of, how did you become to be doing what you're doing right now in the world, influencing people on social media, in person, spreading your health, your wealth, your abundance with the world?
Well, I found out at a very early age, like reality is malleable and it can be molded to however you want. So at the age of about 6 years old, I started endeavoring in that field and learning different things about it. So as I would mold it and shape it, people had a curiosity towards me. And then they asked me, what do I do? And I told them, hey, this is what I do. To have the greatest power or influence in reality, you have to purify your mind, because the way to shape depends on the amount of energy that you have. And if you have no energy, then you're just a bystander. you're just subject to whatever happens. So I'm trying to collect all the energy I can, all the infinity stones, so I can snap reality. That's what I'm going after.
Okay, man. I like that. Now, you've got a manual, like a book that you wrote, right?
Yeah, totally. It's a guide, like a step-by-step guide to how to have like more energy, look like this being here, explode at the seams, and just be power packed. Like the more, again, the more energy you have, the more you can do in life. That's just hands down with everything. The better your health will be, the further you can go, the greater endurance you'll have, the faster you can heal. So if you cut yourself, if you have a bunch of energy, you can heal faster. You can think of things quicker. Just in every degree of life, if more energy is present and you know how to use it at its capacity, then you'll always be more successful. Yeah.
Heck yeah, I like that. Now, in your guide, you've got an equation for life, right?
Yeah, correct. That's it.
Okay, cool. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Totally. Life itself, I've broken it down and I found that life itself is primarily three main components. A lot of people want to make life about, their family or maybe their career, their hobbies, or even health. Even health, a lot of people consider health as life. But at the end of the day, whenever you actually break down what life is, you can not have a family and still be alive. You can even not be healthy and still be alive. Like, you may not have the best life, but you're still alive to some degree. But whenever a person breaks down what life is, it's consciousness, energy, and regeneration. And whenever you make those the fundamental pillars, the very foundation you build the rest of your experience on, you'll be able to see through distractions, energy wasters, energy vampires, things that sap your energy or would create leaks in your bucket to where you lose life itself. So whenever you hold that standard up to whatever's encountering you, you can judge it. Is this life? Okay. Does it expand my consciousness? Does it give or take energy? Does it help me with regeneration? If it's no, then toss it. If it's a yes, then bring it on. And whenever you bring it on, it's crazy because you end up getting more life. You stay looking younger, you stay stronger, you stay more vibrant. Personally, right now, I haven't eaten in 18 days. And yet I'm here coherently speaking with you. I feel great. I have a bunch of energy. I'm not tired. It's like almost 10 o'clock at night for me. And whenever you really find out what life is, it goes a little bit beyond of these extremities of what people would say life actually is. And you can, I would say, consciously contain it. You can use it as an infinite power source. And then it doesn't matter what time of day it is. You're never tired. It doesn't matter how long ago you ate or not. You're just not hungry and you're able to go and go. It's almost like the Energizer Bunny. But if you're not attached to life, you're always hungry. You're always tired. You can't think straight. You're never excited about anything. So like, these are the telltale signs if a person's truly living or not. Because you can have a bunch of hobbies and everything else, but If you don't have energy, then you're on your way towards dying. But if you, let's just say, even if you haven't eaten in almost 20 days, but you're attached to life, it doesn't matter what comes. You still have enough energy to accomplish that and more. So something along the lines of that.
Okay, man. Epic. Woo. So
I guess a lot.
it is, man, but let's unpack that. So, how do you personally, what helps you stay detached from life? Because it's constantly trying to lure us back in.
Yeah, you were so right about that. Man, that's just something we have to wake up every day to, especially seeing some of the comments online and stuff like that. Like, it's hard not to take things personally. It's extremely that's probably one of the toughest things is that exact thing right there. But whenever we can remind ourselves, whether we have to write it down in front of us or say it 1,000 times a day, or just try to just, like we were doing before we started here, just breathing, taking a moment to breathe and become aware and self-aware. We have to stay detached from everything, because honestly, as crazy as this may sound, at least to myself, nothing's real. I've noticed that if I ever want something, I can just do this formula that I mentioned earlier and I get it. I retired by the age of 29. I have multiple lovers. I am able to travel the world. I've been to over 20 countries, and I've been on vacation for like the past 6 years. But I was able to achieve that because I really solidified in myself, nothing's real. And since nothing's real, I'm going to prove it to myself. So every day I wake up, I have to, it's crazy how it works, because it's a yin and yang. When you wake up in this life, you want to try to preserve it, because I have the pretty ladies and the big nice house and the travels. You don't want to lose it, so you start to grip it. But once you start to grip it, it starts to escape you. But whenever you just pull back and say, this isn't real, this didn't exist 5 years ago, and like none of this was here, then all of a sudden more of it wants to be given to you. So I try to gauge on what's coming in my life versus what's being taken. And if it's being taken from me, it reversed me back to the stage of like, well, it wasn't real in the first place, let it go. And the moment I accept that, five more things of it comes. So that's kind of what I use as that gauge. And that's kind of how I stay like out of believing that this stuff is real or has like any sort of like lifelong effect.
Amen, man. So you're basically saying to you, it's experience things, but don't necessarily grasp onto things.
Believe that it's only happening because you wanted it. So it's not even real. So if it left, it left because you wanted it to leave, because you felt like it was holding you. So the moment you realize that, it stops leaving, and it stays stationary to whatever you wanted at that point. So let's say that a girl was leaving my life, right? Oh no, I don't want this girlfriend or whoever to leave my life. The moment you say, okay, go ahead and go, and she hears that, she's like, wait, what? You want me to leave? She wants to stay then. It's like that with our possessions, with our experiences, and it doesn't matter if it's tangible or intangible. The moment we can look at it objectively and say, yeah, leave, now it's almost at a superposition. It could either go or stay or bring more of it. And whenever you look at it with that type of consciousness, now you can direct it on what you actually want. But whenever you're honest with yourself, if you really do want it to go, let it go. Because if not, it's going to start sapping away at your energy, and you won't have energy to be able to either bring in or continue other things in your life. So it's a very like aware state to be. If that makes
Yeah. Oh, that's deep, man. I love that. I hope the listeners caught what you just said because I
sense. I hope so.
100% agree. Like when
Yeah,
we, and I can tell you've spent time on this, and this has also probably been downloads, right? Because I've downloaded a lot of the same stuff where it comes
100%.
through and it's like, this makes so much sense. Why would I not live my life this way? So it's cool to see another man living like that.
Heck yeah, man. I
All
like
right.
man, like I haven't worked out in 5 years, but yet my muscles are huge. I don't take any supplements, yet my skin is glowing. I have multiple beautiful women. I'm in like currently a 3-story house, like one of the biggest houses here on an island in Vietnam. And like if you believe what you say, don't tell me, show me. And that's how, if you really have manifestation power, or you really even have just like logical power, show, don't tell. And that's what I try to prove to myself every single day. And if there's anything I speak in word but not in deed, I call myself out. So as long as you're on the cuspice of always calling yourself out, you'll stay in the most powerful position. And that's the position that you really want to stay in constantly.
Mm, yeah. As long as we, yeah, are real with ourselves. And I really like how you say, do, don't tell, because as lifelong students and teachers, like for me personally, I tell all my clients, I don't tell you anything that I haven't done myself, because this
Exactly.
isn't, we're not here to share other people's knowledge, book knowledge. We're here to share our experience. That's what
Exactly.
makes it unique and authentic.
That's the crazy thing about social media right now is everyone's just parroting each other. Everyone's saying that, oh, this is healthy, that's healthy, ice bath, sauna, and all this other stuff. Not saying that it's not healthy, but you're only saying that, or these people are only saying that because someone else told them, not because they discovered themselves, but
Yeah.
because someone else said it, who someone else said it, someone else says it. Now it becomes the consensus. And if anybody says anything outside of what's being parroted, you're ostracized because
Right.
there's the lack of being able to think for yourself and observe. And whenever people may ask, even you were saying, Jonathan, you were saying like you got some downloads. People would ask like, oh, where did you learn this from? And you say, oh, I figured it out. You're almost like burned at the stake for having an objective mindset, being able to be critical and actually gain intel and information. I'm like, all you got to do is just pay attention and it's like right there, you know? So it's a very
Yeah.
interesting age we live in.
Yeah, it's one of the beauties of living here and being in this human form is that we are all our own scientists. Like we get to figure out what feels good, what looks good, what works for us, and then share that. And we don't have to agree.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh man. Michael, can you explain a little bit about like how did you end up creating the guide? What happened in your life? Because I know you said you've been in health for like 20 years
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're in your 30s now, so it's been your whole adult life. What
yeah.
happened in your life that led this to taking place?
Well, whenever I was a kid, my parents split up. I pretty much raised myself, and I raised myself on junk food, candy, Little Debbie's, Star Crunch, Nutter Butters, and stuff like that. So I just intook a bunch of candy because the parents weren't there. There was a void that wanted to be filled, but it wasn't by parental guidance. It was just being at home by myself and having access to cakes and candies and stuff like that. Well, those chemical compounds, because it's not food, those are chemicals I was eating as a kid. They jacked up my hormones. They just destroyed them. So by the age of 10, I ended up growing breast on my chest. And me being a young man, a boy, I look down, I have breasts. I'm like, WTF, I shouldn't have boobs. What's going on? So it really made me confused as a kid because as I got closer to puberty, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. I went to the hospital and doctors were like, oh, they'll go away. This happens to like 50% of all men and blah, 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 blah. So I trusted them. I said, hey, all right, they're going to go away. You said it, doctor. They ran blood tests and did ultrasound, all kinds of stuff. They just took my parents' money. Like they did blood, they did all this other stuff, right? And then 14, 15 comes around and they're still there. I still have breast on my chest. I have gynecomastia. And I'm like, doc, WTF, why is this still here? And they told me like, well, we don't know. But here's a number to a good surgeon. Go ahead and get it cut out. And I'm like, I don't want surgery. I want to know, why is this here? You told me to wait. I trusted you. I waited. Now they're here. And what I know now actually is crazy because if I would have known this at the age of 10, at the age of 11, I could have reversed my condition and gotten rid of it. But because they said, oh, it'll go away, it actually established it and set it. And now I'm kind of, in a sense, stuck with it unless I get surgery pretty much for the rest of my life. So that really was a driving factor to start getting healthy. Probably by the age of 14 is whenever I really just started like locking in and going all the way. That's when I started my fasting journey, learning about nutrition, learning about like weightlifting and health and all this other stuff. Fast forward to about I would say 2019, 2020, I was so ingrained in the bodybuilding mindset because I was operating out of insecurity to get rid of breast because I still had it as a young adult, as like a 28, young adult at 28, but like 25, 26, 27, 28, I still had large breast, even bigger. So I would work out consistently in the gym to try to get rid of the breast. But the funny thing is, the more I would bench press or do whatever, the bigger my breast would look. So I was
Mm.
fighting this vicious cycle. I have to go to the gym and I have to count my macros. I have to do all this other stuff. I have to work out. But that very thing is causing my chest to swell even more. So I would work out even harder. So it was this vicious cycle to the point where I worked out so hard, I injured myself. I tore my elbow and I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't press. I couldn't pull. So I said, F it. I'll do leg day then, like 3, 4 days a week. Then I'll just give it everything to legs because if I don't work out, I'll just blow up. I'm more prone to gaining weight. I'm more on the heavier side. I'm not an ectomorph. I'm not one to be skinny. I blow up if I just look at a donut. And I would just go hard in the gym. Now on legs, I end up working out so freaking hard, I tore my Achilles. So now I can't lift anything on my upper body and I can't walk. So both sides, upper and lower body, are just shot. I'm bedridden and I'm like almost crying. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna gain like an extra 60 pounds. I'm gonna get fat, all this other stuff. Oh my gosh. I gotta figure out a way to heal myself. I gotta figure out a way to, like, what do I do now? So that's whenever I got one of my lovers who's actually here beside me. She helped me on this journey, and she's like, hey, if you do this type of consciousness in the mirror and all this other stuff, you can help shape your body. I said, okay, well, I'm desperate. I can't even walk, so this will, at least be something I can do in the meantime. I started delving into this, and I'm in better shape now. I look better. I'm more fit. My muscles have actually grown bigger, and I'm more shredded now than whenever I was in the gym 5, 6 days a week. So that got me interested in what this lifestyle, this alternative way of living can do. And then from that, it's not just shaped my body better. It's saved me a lot of energy because I'm not in the gym. I'm not spending an hour driving to the gym, driving home. I'm not spending an hour lifting weights. I'm not spending all this time in, fluorescent lighting and all this other stuff. So I get to save all that energy. And now that energy, I can use it towards just becoming aware, towards my consciousness, towards seeing what reality is. So that's what made me want to dive more into this. And that's what the guide is. It's a lot of people think it as a health book or something like that, but what it is so you can encapsulate power. You can save the energy inside of you, and now with the energy you're not spending going to a gym, working out, taking a bunch of supplements and all this other stuff, you can save that same energy, and you can direct it towards your consciousness, so you can start to use your consciousness to shape your body and shape your life. That's what the guide ultimately is. It's a lot.
Wow, what a journey, man.
It's been crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you betting on yourself because with all the pressure from doctors, society, it's not easy, but I see that that's the route you chose. Well done.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. What has helped you detox or get rid of this conditioned mindset? That our bodies are not healable, regenerative, all this stuff. Because clearly, somewhere in there, you found your power. What's helped you claim your personal power on your journey?
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, when you're bedridden and you can't walk, you don't have many options. A lot of doors are closed. Like, unless you want to go get surgery or liposuction or just be on like fat loss pills, things that are just obviously
Yeah.
not healthy, you don't really have many other options. So once I delved into this or dove in this type of lifestyle, like, and I got these results that I used to work so hard for. I'd be in the gym sometimes. I'd sometimes do 2 a days, push
Yep.
pull days, an hour in the gym doing push. I'll come back 4 hours later, do a pull, an hour session for, pull. And I would just exhaust myself so much. But now that I learned how to do the breathing techniques and like the focus meditation, and I have better results now than then, I'm like, I'm sold. Like, it's the most efficient route. Like, you, efficiency is maximum output with minimal input. You can't argue against thermodynamics. If you have greater results doing less, then why would you not go that way unless the person is just stubborn in their way? The ego will ruin a man, the pride will ruin a man. So, like, just opening myself up, life is trying to always show us all this stuff. So, it just took me being so belligerently ignorant in bodybuilding to the point where I'm bedridden to finally open my eyes. But if I would have looked, it would have been showing me this the entire time.
Mm.
Just had to be bedridden to finally see it.
Yeah, I see that a lot of times, even in my journey, where we have to get to the bottom of our rope a lot of times before our eyes open.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of suffering in this life is there's always an expansion of awareness and consciousness through suffering, no matter how minute or big the suffering is.
Did you go through something similar, like an injury or something?
I went through a lot of physical and mental health injuries after the military. Yeah. That's
Oh,
what drove me down. I was suicidal. I was bad for many years after I got out. And that's what led me into my health journey. Yeah.
was like a PTS type of situation or something like that?
Yeah.
What is it?
Had
Post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Yep, had PTSD and about four other mental health diagnoses, as well as just my body was racked. Like I could barely walk. And
Dude, that's
so,
easy, man.
Yeah, I tried to get through with cigarettes and a bottle and women and all this stuff for several years, but it got to the point to where I was miserable. I didn't even want to live. And so
Yeah.
getting to these points of like extreme suffering helps us question everything. Whereas when we're just in this routine, we're a hamster on a wheel in this perfect matrix that's been set up for us, cruising along, we don't tend to question things. So that's why I always encourage people like fucking question everything that doesn't feel good to you. Even if the world says this is right, this is what you should do. What does your inner guidance system say? What feels good or bad to you, and listen to that, like get to know yourself, because self is life, it's the universe, and when we get to know ourself, we get to know this life, we get to know everything around us, in us, around us. So it sounds like on your journey, much like mine, you were like, I have to get to know myself because this shit isn't working.
Well, I mean, I was still stubborn. It took my other lover,
Yeah.
Lay, pretty much to come in and give me some advice. She was the one who says, like, bro, you're beating your head against the wall. Like, you're doing it too hard. You don't have to do it that hard. So just it took another person to come in, and
Hmm.
even though life was screaming this at me for years, it took multiple people, and then finally, like to the point where I'm bedridden, I had no other options. That's the time I finally listened. So I totally understand, man.
Yeah.
There's
Ooh.
a lot of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of that.
Man, thank you for sharing that, Michael. Appreciate you spitting that
Yeah.
all out. I know that's very encouraging for a lot of listeners here because everybody is going through their own form of suffering. And that's the cool thing I think about this life is none of our suffering looks the same, but a lot of the lessons we learn, a lot of the impressions that our suffering leaves on us is identical and similar to other people.
Yeah.
And so we can find so much inspiration in each other's stories. So thank you.
What do you feel was like the highest lesson that you've downloaded or learned from all that? Like the biggest takeaway from yours?
Man, the biggest one in a nutshell is to never give up on myself and to never put anyone's opinions ahead of my own.
That's beautiful, man. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
What's so like I'm curious because I want some of that intel that you have, man. I want some of that data. It's radiating through you, and I can feel it. I can see it. What are your goals that you want to achieve with that? So like now that you say, hey, don't give up on yourself. What are you reaching for now? Like what's that right out of reach, or like
Hmm.
10-year plan, or what you're doing?
Good question. Well, I'll go into that a little bit because that does lead me into my next question for you. And for me, it's my goals are to get to know myself on the deepest level. And again, when I say myself, I mean life, like breath, spirit, the source of everything, right? The infinite intelligence. Get to know myself the most so that I can inspire that in others. Because the reason I came back to this place again is to remind my family of how powerful they are. But I can't do that by telling, like you said. I got to do that by living it. And
Yeah,
so that's my purpose on this earth is to unlock all of my power, to live it and to have fun with it, and then to help and support others as they do that journey as well. Because if we're just here caught up in this human experience, but we're not actually channeling our unlimited spiritual power into this physical realm, to me, we're cutting ourselves short. And not everybody's journey is for that. However, those that are here to experience that, I'm here to work with them and support them and to be a big family together. And those that aren't there, I love them too because they got their role to play as well. Everybody's got their own perfect role.
yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's very beautiful,
It's our personal power. We can't sleep on it.
dude. You said something so perfect with us. Like if you have all this power at hand and it's accessible, you're cutting yourself short from the human experience, not tapping into it. Like why would you? And people will argue about this. Is the crazy thing. I'm like, oh, you're powerful. They're like, fuck you. Show me the studies. And I'm like, what? I'm just building you up, bro. Like, fuck you. You're lying. I'm like, you have the power to live better. It's like that. The fact that I don't know if it's the programming or the mindset or what, that people will literally fight you when you tell them that you are powerful is crazy to me. Like, why would you not want to live in the power? Like, if I'm giving you money, if I'm leaving money on the table, say you can have it, why would you walk away? It's just like this is what God or the universe and source is giving us. Like, I believe we're supposed to have superpowers, bro. Telekinesis is supposed to be like a given. Psionic powers, possibly even levitation and stuff like that. But like, we're so bent on, oh man, I got to get my social media numbers up. I got to get more followers. I got, the girls have to like me or whatever. It's just like, who the fuck cares, bro? Can you push objects with your mind? That's cool. Can you like have precognition? Like that's what is on the table for us, man. And I don't know, man. I don't see a life that's worth living if you haven't tapped into what life actually is, which is the animation of your soul. Like that's all I see now, at least personally.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point, Michael. Is there's so much like like you said, show me the study that I'm powerful. I don't believe you. Like, wait, what?
Like,
Um,
why would you argue with that? That doesn't make any sense.
exactly. And we've been pulled away, I believe, from what we truly want. And that's what I work with on all my clients. The very first thing we do is let's get clear on what you want because most people don't even know what they want. And until we know what we want, we can't align our beliefs and our actions with our goals. We got to know what our goals are. And so,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, I really like how you speak about tap into your power. Get excited about it. Have fun with it. It's why I'm here. And guys like you and me and the whole family out here, whatever our belief systems are, whatever's impacted our lives, we're unapologetically sharing it. And the seekers are going to say, okay, that's cool. Now I'm curious, why do you live this way? Because they're seeking for something that resonates with them. Whereas the haters are going to say, oh, that doesn't make sense. And they're going to argue and everything's going to be negative. So to the seekers that are listening to this, I want to
What's up,
ask you a
Seeker?
question. Yeah, exactly.
What's up,
Exactly.
guys?
That's my audience, the people that are looking for more information as well as just, yeah, sitting here with us vibing.
Yeah.
Most of my audience is vegan. So I want to ask you,
Awesome.
when you say I'm not vegan because why would I limit myself? Can you explain more about what that means?
That's beautiful. And I want to start off by saying I am not against anybody, right? I'm not against so we're talking about vegans, right? I'm not against carnivore. I'm not
Yep.
against keto. I'm not against vegan. I'm not against anybody. And I want people to know that because they instantly think like, oh, because you're not vegan, you're against vegans. I fucking love vegans. I most of the things I eat are plants, mushrooms, tubers, algae, and things like that. Seaweed. Those are extremely powerful things. That's why I'm not carnivore, because why would I limit myself from the power of plants by just eating meat? It turns your skin red. It doesn't make sense. In the same way, like if there's beneficial properties to things like raw milk or maybe even cheese, butter, things like that, but also brain full of DHA, CoQ10 in animal heart, kidneys, liver, spleen, all this other stuff, and even in the blood of the animal. Why would I limit myself from the potential beneficial capacity that might offer so I can boost myself so I can put this consciousness onto reality? I've been vegan twice. And it was a cool experience. I loved it. It for me personally, I was raw vegan, and I was raw vegan for about 6 months, and I was eating things like all the way from legumes, all the way from leafy greens, seeds, a bunch of hemp seeds, all different types of seeds. But I was personally, for some reason, experiencing ED. I was experiencing erectile dysfunction. Like it just wouldn't work anymore, and I started losing hair on the front of my head. And I was doing it for at least 6 months, maybe going into 7. I said, "Hey, look, I'm not feeling all that great. Let me just tap out." About 6 months after that, I'm like, "Hey, let me just go ahead and give it one more try before I judge it, because maybe I'm doing it wrong again." I went whole, like I wasn't like the vegan who eats like vegan candy bars, and if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it pure, right? That's my motto. But I started suffering from the same things all over again. So that's whenever I said like, okay, veganism's cool. Like I'm not gonna diss plants, but if there's something else out there for me, I want everything. I want things that people don't even eat. I want like I eat octopus, I eat squid, I eat horseshoe crab, I eat seahorse, I eat horses and cows and buffalo and bite. I try to eat a little bit of everything. But with that, I try not to overindulge in anything. So I'm not here just to try to kill animals and like say, ho ho, I'm the master of the planet. Everything needs to die. But respectfully, like the animals that I've eaten, I've slaughtered a lot of them. So I'll go ahead and buy the animal myself. I'll slaughter it, and then I'll go ahead and harvest its organs and stuff like that and eat it. And I've noticed that helps me extend my ability to go without eating longer. Now, because of that, I'm able to go. I eat once every 66th day. So I go 66 days without eating food. In that meantime, I'll still drink some milk, some raw milk, and some fruit juice and stuff like that. But because of the organs, I've noticed I'm able to really, because I eat organs, I'm able to eat less meat. And that's really boosted my energy and my impact I've seen on creating my reality as well. So I don't want to limit myself to the power, the energy that's inside the organs. And that's what I mean.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for that. So basically you're saying you eat everything because
Everything.
it gives you you don't limit yourself because it gives you more micronutrients.
100%. The brain, the DHA in the brain of animals helps with the DHA that your brain's made of. The CoQ10 in hearts helps with what your heart's made of. The different types of enzymes in livers helps with healing your liver and restoring it. Not that I think I need anything, but I don't want to leave anything on the table. So if there's a beneficial property to it that can help me extend to where I may only eat once every 100 days, I'm gonna at least try it. And that's why I, endeavor into organs and meat and stuff like that. But I've
Okay.
also been carnivore, and just so I'm not saying like, oh hey, vegan, I experienced ED
Right.
from veganism. I went carnivore. It made my urine acidic to where if I went and peed in the grass, it would literally kill the grass within 24 hours. My urine was so acidic with all the proteins and everything from meat, it just killed my kidneys. So it had to be a balance. I'm like, if I just eat carnivore, like it's destroying my kidneys. Whenever I was vegan, it was, my hormones weren't as balanced. Whenever I was keto, I was very bloated and just slow on the inside. And I could tell that I was very dull and pudgy. Even though my body was leaning out, I was pudgy as a person. So I found out like it's a little bit of everything. So whenever I do eat, like on my 66th day, I'll eat usually anywhere from 120 to 160 different items, all ranging from dirt. I eat dirt. Believe it or not, I eat dirt like clay, kaolin clay, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Uh, Bark, tree bark, roots, leaves, tubers, stems, mushrooms, probably 20 different types of mushrooms, multiple different types of animals, fungi, algae, seaweed, sea creatures, crustaceans, all kinds of stuff. And when I eat a little bit of those, I've noticed that I come to the point where my mind is operating on a higher level than whenever I just eat maybe six things in a meal, some proteins, carbs, and
Mhm.
fats. Because then it runs out quickly, and then I'll have to go and eat some more and eat some more and eat some more. But whenever I eat like this, my mind such it operates at a higher. It's almost like having a superpower, like you're I don't know, some sort of like super genius as far as like the comic books, where your mind's operating at such a high function because it has so many components to work with. You're already detoxed, so you're not even in the healing state anymore. You already did that. Now all the energy coming in is just for extra, the extra expense of however you want to spend it on. So now you're able to go into like a different realm of consciousness faster and quicker and hold multiple types of consciousness in your mind as you're objectively testing these meta consciousness inside of you to where you can deduct how to move forward in the next phase of life. So that I can't say that in an Instagram post, but that's what I mean by I don't want to leave anything on the table. When you have abundance of energy, you have meta consciousness inside of your own conscious that you can use as a council and like almost like a tribunal to make higher, efficient, more precise decisions in life that get you there quicker, easier, and with
Mhm.
less stress, less energy. It's a wild place to operate in.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that because you brought up a good point. Energy.
Yeah,
You know what angstroms are, I'm guessing.
it's been a minute. I've heard it, but I forgot.
Yeah. So just for the listeners that don't know, angstroms is the unit of measurement that we measure energy inside of food and the body. It's light energy. It's the amount of
Okay,
actual electricity and frequency in our body and food. So angstroms of energy is what we measure in the body as well as the food that we put in the body. And
okay,
so when we're talking about ability to conduct frequency, cosmic downloads, that actual energy, it comes through the batteries in our cells, which
100%.
does conduct that electricity. Now, the human baseline of the body is 6,500 angstroms.
Okay,
Science has proven this over and over and over again, which I don't always quote science, but in this instance, it's very helpful because they've measured this. Is anything that is cooked or an animal product is less than that 6,500 angstroms. So when we
okay,
put it into our body has to work really, really hard to extract anything out of it to bump it above. So basically, it's putting in a life source that is less energy, less life than what our body actually maintains. So, for instance,
Mhm.
like 6,500 baseline for human. For cancer patients, it's like 400 or 4875. So
Okay.
it's less than that. Anything that is like raw fruits, raw vegetables, anything like that, that's all above 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 up there. That's why you get that rush of energy and stuff. Like you said, you were raw for a while. You felt that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to what's your view on taking in energy that is less than what our body needs versus more?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I believe that energy is a very blanket term. So whenever we say energy, we just mean, hey, it's what we are perceiving or using as some sort of fuel source. But there's different factors inside of us for different compartments of our body. So this type of energy helps with this source. This type of energy helps with that source. So even though your car may be a petroleum based car has a combustion engine, you still have a battery in it. So there's different types of fuel, and then even inside the car, there's different types of fluid. So there might be transmission fluid, radiator fluid. There may be obviously oil, things like that. Besides gasoline, and these different fluids have different purposes and different components. I've noticed that whenever I started breaking things down and not going towards things like calories, right? You know, the angstrom, that sounds beautiful. I actually like that. I need to go and like research more on that. But a lot of people like to use the term calorie, but calorie is just a vague term for what something burns out, like its burn rate to get the caloric energy of the thing, the nut, the seed, the protein, or whatever. But that does not necessarily equate to its efficiency in your body. So a calorie of, let's say, some macadamia nuts is very different than some calories from a Dunkin' Donuts sugary drink or like some sort of like sugar coffee or something like that. Though you may get energy off of it, that energy is dirty energy and it's going to end up clogging the system. So in the same way, I try not to use like meat or this or that as a blanket term, like it falls under one umbrella. But I understand that there's properties in this that's going to help with this part. There's properties in this that's going to help with this part, and I try to categorize everything to its functionality. So that's why I try to never indulge too much into one thing, because you're right. If you just eat too much meat, you feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was carnivore, I didn't feel all that good. Whenever I was honestly, even for me, whenever I was vegan, like I had some energy, but I felt hungry all the time. Even though I would probably eat caloric wise, probably 4 to 5,000 calories a day. I'd eat a lot, a lot. Whenever I was keto, same thing. So I try to make sure that I understand that certain types of food, I'm not using it for energy, but I'm using it for sometimes to build up synovial fluid back in my body. Hormones. I try to give my body all the components it needs to make fluids. Uh, of course, sediments like iron and selenium and magnesium and things like that, so I can be more conductive. I also try to have essential fatty acids in there, ALAs, DHA, things like that, and also like my amino acids, because I understand that even though I'm eating food, not all of it's going to go towards fuel. Some of it's going to go towards rebuilding. So I need food not to just have energy, but to actually use it to make my eye, make my brain, my hair, and everything else. So that's kind of why I dip my toe into all these different segments, because the reason the reason a chicken is a chicken is because that's the energy of a chicken. The reason a fish is a fish because that's the energy of a fish or a shark or a snake or whatever. There's a certain code or an imprint or a blueprint inside of each one of those things that energy makes it what it is. Well, even though that chicken or that snake is still made of amino acids, those amino acids are combined in a different sort of combination to make it either a fowl or a serpent or whatever. Whenever our body intakes this, even though we don't have a scientific measurement for it to say, like, okay, well, this amino acid's from a chicken or a fowl versus a snake, for us, carnosine is carnosine. It is what it is. And science can't tell if that carnosine came from a horse or this or that. Our body is extremely intelligent, has infinite intelligence. It made us. It can tell what these things are from. So a person who eats meat, usually they're going to be a little bit more aggressive or risk taking, while the person who might be vegan may be more relaxed and open minded and chilled, the keto person and everything else. these types of energy, if they're just isolated and that's the only thing a person comes off of, it shapes them into that type of person. And the vegan person usually is like a vegan person. The carnivore person, you can usually spot a carnivore from the crowd. They're usually kind of red. The keto person, like they have a certain tendency to it. These energies compose the way that we structure our thoughts because it's projected through the minerals that we intake from the source. Was it a living source? Was it plants? Was it, sediments and rocks and fish? These things end up influencing our own consciousness, and it makes us see through that scope. If you, from what I've found so far, because I've been, vegan for a while, and I've been, keto and carnivore and everything else, whenever you combine all of those different fields, it expands your mind to see in different types of realms, and then you get the choice to operate in it. Versus if you're just secluded to one portion, from what I found, in within myself, that if I'm just secluded to one thing, it's hard not to operate in that conscious. You can really only operate in that. So I see that there's less of a choice. So what I try to do as most as I can, is give myself enough optics to look through, so I have the choice, or at least the illusion of choice, to be able to see what path do I want to go down. Because
Mhm.
chances are the vegan will always go down the vegan path, and the carnivore path, and everything else. So something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, man. It's so true that,
A
what
lot.
we eat. Well, this topic is a lot, and I appreciate you going deep into what you feel and what's inspiring to you because this topic
Thanks
is
for your
deep. And yeah, man, 100%. I know the listeners love hearing all different sides of everybody's perspective on this because I do not believe in being dogmatic. I believe probably you and me both have been dogmatic. I know I have been on my
100%. Yeah.
journey. But that's what led me to not being dogmatic because I was like, yeah, this doesn't feel good in my cells. Literally, this type of energy makes my cells acidic, and that is the opposite of health. So
100%. Yeah.
you bring up a good point about like what we eat does impact us. It impacts our DNA. And so I've got to
Exactly.
raise this because I know the listeners are, some of them are screaming about this. Like our
What's up?
DNA, our human DNA is closer to plants than it is any other species on this earth. And so a lot of people's argument, which this is also mine too, is in order to create the strongest tether from higher self to lower self, whoever we are outside of this realm to who we are inside of this realm, the bridge between the two of us, creating that synergistic relationship between the two, spanning these realms, it's cleaning out the vehicle, the body that I'm riding around in this realm with. Well, if this body operates on a cellular level, the closest to plants, to me, that would make sense to get this as far as I can to natural state, to its origin. It would want to be keeping its DNA clean. Now, that
Yeah.
also ties into, and again, science has shown this time and time again. A lot of us have shown this through our own lifestyles that have been doing this for years, is that, we don't need anything, our bodies don't need anything from animals that we can't get from plants. Every single thing we can get that our body actually needs in a natural state from plants, which, if that's true, again, none of this stuff is to prove anything, but if that concept is true, to me, it would seem that eating animals comes down to pleasure or a choice. And that is adding to the overall Holocaust, basically, of 5 million animals being murdered every single hour around the clock, which we're living in a time where this is the worst onslaught of species with a central nervous system that we've ever experienced. And so I'm curious to like, how do you feel about that? Because it sounds like what you're saying is you're basically convinced that we do need the full spectrum and that limiting ourselves to plants limits the consciousness, right? Limits the energy cultivation. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. To a certain degree. Now, I don't want to say as if I'm stuck on I have to eat meat. That's not even where I'm trying to go at. I believe the perfect human comes to the point where they don't even need oxygen. But at the lowest state you possibly are, you need the most oxygen, you need the most foods, and everything else. So until your body has the adaptation to be able to operate without even food, well, you need food. But I believe the highest point, kind of like what you're saying, connecting with source, God doesn't need to breathe. God doesn't need Earth's atmosphere. God doesn't even need, vitamins and minerals or anything like that. But until we reach that level, I'm finding out that these things are extremely beneficial to jettison or boost us there faster. I've noticed that I've had rapid de-aging in my skin and everything else once I start doing this type of lifestyle. Not that I'm convinced that I need an animal or I even have pleasure from it per se, because I really don't. Like now, even eating plants, I am just so unsatisfied eating. I don't feel good whenever I eat. I don't feel good whenever I eat plants. I don't feel good whenever I eat animals. I don't feel good either or. Like I have way more energy now. I haven't eaten anything in, again, 18 days. So whenever I eat anything, plants or animals, I'm instantly brought down. But it depends on what category those things fall under. If it's like fast burning plants, maybe like chard or something like that, it doesn't make me feel as much as if I ate liver. Liver's like even lower. But if I eat things like nuts, macadamia nuts, hazelnuts, pecans, that's even more. So even though nuts would fall under like the plant category, because it's a type of fat, I can feel a heavier impact than whenever I eat
Yeah.
something like liver. But if I eat liver, it impacts me more than if I eat chard or something like that. So I think the real goal is to inevitably not to eat whatsoever. I'm not telling
Mhm.
anybody not to eat because no one's at that level that I know, but I don't think that meat is the end all be all. But I also don't think
Right.
plants are either. So it depends on like where we're navigating to and like how fast can we get there? Because the sooner I get there, I never have to eat another animal again. I went
Yeah.
from eating carnivore. I was carnivore. I'd eat 1 meal a day. I was eating every single day. I was eating cow and all these animals and big heaping steaks. To now, I only eat 6 times a year, and I may eat a piece of one animal that I share with my family. So I went from eating probably multiple animals a month to now I maybe might eat one animal in total the entire year. But I'm also not even eating plants either, and I
Okay.
think that's the
Okay.
the highest goal with it.
Yeah, I love that. And I really like where your mind is at as far as the goal is to get back to natural state, which I think we probably agree on that, where we don't eat,
100%.
we don't drink, we can breathe
Nothing.
underwater. Like
Exactly. That's it.
yeah, we're gods in these bodies. And it's really cool. And I
100%.
love this conversation because a lot of us are taking different approaches to getting to that point, right? But
100%.
I,
Yeah.
I just really want to stop and acknowledge the point of people like you and I believing in our full potential. How we get there, this is great to have these conversations. This is great to
I'm loving it, man. Thank you for
this is
having me
great
on.
to
It's a
yeah, man. This
blessing.
is great to sit in and live our lifestyles and make our choices and have these conversations. But at the end of the day, it's like, fuck, I'm really proud of us for claiming our full potential. Because that is the true light.
100%. I'm really
Yeah.
proud of you, man. Like just coming on this journey, like, dealing with even I don't know how long ago it was whenever you were smoking or like drinking and stuff like that, but it seems as if you had a major evolution, like a major shift in a short time, and you got to a really high spot really quick. Like I don't know whenever your time was, but like it seems like you compressed time really really quick and got here like fast.
Yeah, man. I'll share a little bit about that, and then I know we got to wrap up because I want to respect your time and my time and listeners and
Okay.
everybody here. But
Yeah.
but I want to share a little bit about that because it ties into what you were just saying as far as my perspective on all this. Because um, you're talking about getting to this place to where we are cultivating this cosmic electricity and energy that which is what feeds our cells. So we don't
Yeah.
need the plants or the animals or the herbs or anything to stimulate our body and to keep us going, right? And my from what I've experienced with this is all of the systems in the body, the glands, the organs, these stations in this factory that we call our temple, they're depleted. They're not working the way they're meant to in their natural state. And so that causes aging and all this stuff. There's two ways we see the result of what you're talking about: plump skin, tan, looking good, tight skin, anti-aging, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The two ways I've seen, and I've experienced one of them, is eating like you're saying, eating these nutrient dense, bioavailable liver, organs, and the whole array. Because I really like how you're
Yeah.
not just carnivore because you see how acidic it is, but eating
Yeah.
this whole array of options.
Cordyceps, shiitake, lion's mane, everything.
Exactly. A lot of
Cardamom,
this
everything.
stuff, a lot of this stuff gives our body what it needs that it is not producing anymore, but it
Yeah.
does have the potential to produce it. And
Exactly.
when we take it, our body won't make it. And so when we're, say, eating animal products that have hormones in it, well, our body is saying, okay, I'm getting hormones, so I guess you don't need me to make hormones through my adrenal glands. I'm going to allow my adrenal glands to shut down more and more and more
Mhm.
because you're feeding me something that I'm supposed to be creating, but fuck you, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
so
point.
what I've experienced with now how I believe I'm aging backwards is working deeply the last, because to answer your question, I changed everything in 2020. It's only been 4 or 5 years.
Heck yeah,
And
man.
2021 is when I really started my detox journey and going in and getting like these rope worms, the mucoid plaque out, making sure
Yeah,
my microvilli were getting the maximum nutrient absorption in my small intestines from the
yeah,
food I was eating because I realized me and most people are overfed and undernourished. So I got to
yeah,
make it to where I eat less, but I'm overnourished. And a big
yeah.
process of that was like getting over 50 feet of this mucoid plaque out of my small intestines and doing that deep cleaning, working on the adrenals, the overall endocrine system, so that now I produce my testosterone, I produce my hormones, and I'm not getting it from animals because my body's used to doing that. So I see those as like two different paths. Whichever one's better, I don't know. But in my mind, and what feels true to me is one is for longevity, one is short term. However, I really like how you're only eating every couple months because most people that talk about getting what they need from animals, they're still eating 2, 3 times a day.
You hit
And
multiple discards
your
and it's still
body is
hungry.
regenerating because I know I actually agree with your opinion on the word fasting, but you're feasting on pranic air for 66 days, which gives your body so much time to heal. And I really love that.
Dude,
So,
my muscles are actually bigger. That's the crazy part about this is I actually at my measurements, my muscles have actually grown than whenever I was eating every single day. When I was eating, meat and even plants and everything else every day, I am bigger now and I weigh more now because like dude, you nailed it. Something I never even thought about. If you keep feeding your body, it won't produce it. Like I've noticed that the further I get out into this deep sea of whatever this is, the more my body starts producing, and then it has literally caused human growth hormone to be released, hypertrophy of my muscles without contractions. My muscles are bigger, and I weigh more today than I did whenever I started this journey. When I was eating every day, and now I only eat once every 2 months.
I
That's
love it.
that's what blows my mind. That's how I know like what you're saying is like once you stop, your body eventually, if you adequate it, will eventually could potentially produce those things itself. I shouldn't be if I eat once every 2 months, every 60 days, there's no way I should be bigger. But I am my
Yeah.
delts are big, everything
Yeah.
else. So that's like the obvious sign there in itself. Blows
And
my
I'm
mind.
gonna take a second to pause here and just say to the audience, no matter what you think or whether you agree with Michael's lifestyle, that's something to really pay some respect to because it's a lonely journey when everybody is because
Yeah.
food, let's talk about this. Food is the most
Oh my
socially
god.
acceptable drug
Oh my
on our
god, yeah.
planet. And so everybody's shooting up every day. And they
Every
say, "Oh,
day.
wait a minute. You don't want to slap up and shoot up with me? What's wrong with you?" And so saying no to food and choosing this lifestyle, I'm sure has brought on all kinds of seclusion in a lot of different times and settings. So I
Oh
just
man,
wanted to
dude. Yeah, people, big
share
dude.
that.
People will look at you weird. They will
Yeah.
ostracize you. They will just like say, like, dude, like literally, people will get mad at you. Wait, but you're
Yeah.
gonna eat for me, right? You're gonna eat for me, right? Because you're gonna eat for. I'm like, I'm doing this for myself. Like, hell, I'll buy you the food. But the thing is, like, especially going on dates and stuff like that. 'Cause I still, I date and everything else. Like, with all that being stated, is like you are almost looked at like Edward Scissorhands, like an outcast. Like you're in this
Right.
preppy society. Everyone's like overly saturated stuff like that, and you're like the goth with like scissor hands, and people are looking at you like you're a freak. And I'm like, bro, I'm just not eating. Why is it that big of a deal? But it really has. Thank you for acknowledging that, man, because it is lonely. Like if I didn't have the two ladies here, dude, I'd probably just be in a cave somewhere by myself because it is extremely lonely, man. It's crazy. But that's how God is. I think it's lonely because it's training the human to become like God because no one can think, or at least from what we see, no one's at the conscious level of the source itself. So the source really has no one to have that intimate conversation with. It's just talking to babies and children, which is us. Like I'm a baby in consciousness's eyes. So it in and of itself is lonely, but I feel like the more you go up to that consciousness, you're seeing why consciousness wants to commune with you, because it's wanting someone to talk to. Because when you elevate, you have no one to really talk to. That's why consciousness is saying, yeah, buddy, that's why I'm trying to talk to you, because it's fucking lonely up here, type of thing.
Michael, you hit on a great point, man, is the transition. And I think you've probably gone through this, maybe not. I know almost everybody I've witnessed, including myself, that has gone through this journey of shifting out of the life we've been given to the life that we've chosen. There is a lonely stage. There is a seclusion time. And that's because
Yeah.
we need to give our nervous system and our mind and everything a time to adjust and say, okay, this really is what I want and what I'm going all in on. So let's go. And then we start becoming, more sociable back to we call in a new tribe. However, what you
Yeah.
just said is so key, is that the level of communion, that connection that we can have with source, our higher self, is so much greater, richer, more delicious than anything we can have with the old lifestyle.
Exactly.
And that's the motivator. So for anybody listening that feels stuck, just know that if you're listening to that inner voice, that inner calling, putting your opinion ahead of everyone else's, following that guidance system, more connection, more tribe, more community is coming your way, because there are also other people doing exactly what you're doing, seeking you. And what we seek is also seeking us. So
Amen to that. That's
real
powerful.
quick, I'll just share briefly about my journey, man, from
Yeah, please do.
2020 to 2025 now. Yeah, it was a rapid switch. And when I look at it, I'm like, 4 years, I'm here now.
Less than half a
And
decade.
the biggest shift, man, was believing in myself. That was the very first thing I realized. Wait a minute. Everybody and everything in this life isn't domineering over me, isn't more powerful than me. I'm not just a slave to my conditions. I'm not a victim to all of my mental and physical disorders and all this stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can climb out of this. So I hired a coach, right? He helped me feel empowered, get inside my own head. From there, I started eating way cleaner. I was still doing fast food, all that shit. I quit drinking in December of 2020. I quit smoking
Congrats.
cigarettes. And then
Congrats.
I got off mental health meds from the VA. I did all that
Hey,
in yeah, dude. I did all that in 30 days, which was insane, and quit
oh
drinking
my,
coffee.
30 days?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I quit the Cymbalta. I quit the cigarettes. I quit the alcohol. I quit coffee, all in December of 2020, because I woke up and I was like, none of this shit aligns with who I'm going to become. Let's get it out of here. And
man, dude,
so
that's
that was
powerful.
rough. Um,
How was your
but
brain like the next month after? Like was it like a block? Was it hard? Was it dry? Was it just like
it
was it was
started opening up quick. So I cut out all the seed oils. I started eating grass fed, grass finished, getting liver, like all this different stuff. My body
yeah.
started to shift. I got on superfoods, getting those micronutrients, the spirulina and wheatgrass and all that in there. Started the cleansing process. And then in August of 2021, I learned about breatharianism and all this potential that we're talking about. And then I learned about distilled water, urine therapy, how all this stuff cleanses our body. And then I learned about the power of plants. And so I dove all in. I had a big lamb steak with my wife. We had mashed potatoes, asparagus, and the next day we went raw vegan
All the way,
and
bro.
switched the next day. And I've never looked back. And that was, yeah, 3.5 years ago. And that's led me through multiple different schools, getting my iridology certificate, certified regenerative health practitioner, all this different stuff to learn more about it. But certification's great, cool. But the biggest thing was being my own scientist, testing this stuff out.
Yeah.
Doing these long juice feasts. Like right now, I'm on a 40-day one. Doing urine feasts, doing these things of abstinence from food, allowing my body to clean out, getting all of this animal DNA out of my body. The biggest thing that has blasted me open is urine therapy. Taking myself back in, the liquid that has all of my information in it, it's like a biofeedback loop, has
Uh-huh.
just catapulted my tether to the clouds. Cleaning up this vessel, correcting the DNA, coming back to my true core, has allowed things to come through, like past life experiences, who I really am, what I'm here to do. It's connected me with the right people. Like it's
Past life
showed me
experiences?
it showed me that I am not in control of my life. I'm here for the ride. Let go and get excited, because I got you.
Yeah.
And when I say I got you, that's me, my higher self. I got me.
Yeah.
And life brings on some of the craziest shit. Like yesterday, I had a crazy big, day. All this stuff happened, and a huge shift in the direction I was going. And sometimes, at least for me, I get excited about where I'm going. I see where I'm going. That's the plan. I put all my chips towards it, and then that changes. And I'm like, all right, well, now what do I do?
Yes,
And
that's life, man.
yesterday I was talking about this on my Instagram. It was like, I've learned this lesson. When life gives me a detour, I know not to be disappointed. I know to get fucking excited because it's got a way greater plan than my lower consciousness does.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll with it. But this has been a huge shift for me because, and most of the listeners I think know me, but if you're new to the channel, I want you to know that anything is possible because I couldn't be in big crowds. I sat with my back to the door. I locked the house multiple times a night. I couldn't be around people that pissed me off. My PTSD was through the roof. I had obsessive compulsive disorder. I had anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder was the worst one. I just wrecked every relationship I was in because I thought everything and everyone was coming at me. I took everything personal. Someone would look at me, oh, they're thinking something about me. Like I was obsessed, man, with being a victim basically. And
It's comfortable,
yeah,
oddly enough.
along all these mental disorders, even like schizophrenia, can be cured through feasting on air, liquid, giving
100%.
our digestion time to turn off. Just like Michael's saying, he's going months without eating, giving
Yeah.
his spirit, his body time to align, to fully express and regenerate. So outside of the medical system, if you want to jump over to the wild side with Michael and I, do it. Believe in yourself. Find yourself a coach. Michael and I both mentor people. We support people. And not because we're these great gurus, but because we are fucking not keeping this shit a secret, guys. We are one
Yeah.
family. And the more we share this stuff, the more we all rise together.
100%. The rising tide raises all ships. We go at this together, man. And
Amen.
and I love what you were
Michael,
saying about if we have time, just real quick about the air.
yeah,
What like what you're saying is like if a person is having any sort of mental disorder, it's because they're made of things that aren't living. You're only made of the components that you are made of. So when you breathe toxified air, pollution, carbon monoxide from living in the city, or you have like particle dust from like material in your house that's plastic or polymers or whatever, you become that component. You become made of that. And the result and the output of it is mental disorders, diseases, chronic illness, inflammation, because that's all that can produce. It can only produce death because it was never living. But when you just take yourself and you submerge yourself in components of life, fresh air, oxygen, go out into nature and like nature bathe, forest bathe, then you're made of actually living
yeah,
particles. The pollen from the dust of the pollen is made from a living tree. You're taking this in, you're breathing it in, and you're now made of that. And that component, guess what? There's no issue. I've seen people grow taller. I've seen people have, you're talking about iridology. My eyes change colors. I had brown eyes and now I
yep,
have gray blue eyes. I have blue
yes,
eyes. I was not born with blue eyes, guys. I had like brown, green, yellow eyes. Your whole person, like who you are, shifts based off what you're made of. So you have to put yourself in a living in a purified state. Like what you're saying is extremely powerful. You do not have to live with schizophrenia or any issue. You just take yourself and get out of the environment that's toxic and just get in a living environment. And then all of a sudden you
yeah.
become alive. It's crazy.
Man, so glad you touched on that, man. Environment is key. We are
Yeah.
nature. The closer we are to nature, the closer we are to self. Powerful stuff, man. This has been an excellent conversation. I hope
Love you,
everyone
bro.
got something powerful out of this. Michael, last quick question, man. What
Yeah,
is
totally, man.
one quick thing, best piece of advice you could give someone that is seeking a deeper level of connection with themselves?
Man, that is awesome. Understand, and hey, this is just me. I would say understand that everything you're experiencing is because you want to. And as hard as it is to wrap your head around, as like big as that is, like I didn't cause that car wreck or the breakup or like the debt or whatever, or what the presidency came out to, Trump, Biden, whoever else. I didn't choose that. Understand that life is attentive to you. So whatever you're choosing, you have a binary switch in front of you. We call it the matrix, right? Because it's binary code. But here's the thing, you're actually controlling the matrix. So whoever's listening out there, whatever you're experiencing, it's because you chose either the 0 or the 1, and it led you down that life path for that thing to happen. So if you want a deeper relationship with yourself, just whether you get healed or not, clean or not, pure or not, detox or not, understand that everything you're experiencing is because you actually want to. And you're already doing it right now, like no matter what state you're in. So understand that you're always, I'm not Christian, but there's a great verse from the Bible. God says that I set before you life and death. Choose life. Everything you're choosing is either life or death, 0 or 1, ascension or descension. You're either going up or going down. You're either happy or sad. So understand that whether you stay up late or go to bed early or you choose to smoke or do drugs, you're choosing 0 or 1. And when you see life in the binary, you can compress time, you go into a superposition, and all of a sudden you start controlling reality easier. So just that's the best way to get with yourself, to know that everything that you are witnessing right now is the reflection of the choice that you chose, because life can only happen if you choose it. It can never involuntarily happen to you. You had to first choose it. And if you really wind back the film strip of time, before that thing happened, you saw that life is trying to save you from doing that, but you chose to continue going anyway. You knew to turn there or do that, but you chose this. So just understand that life will never force itself on you. It will always give you the red pill or the blue pill, 0 or 1. So it's there.
Boom. That is empowering, man. All right. Good stuff.
Love you guys,
Listen,
man.
Michael, thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you. All the listeners, thank you guys for being here. If you haven't
John,
subscribed to the show yet, subscribe. Check out the next episode. And again, thanks for being you, Michael. Listeners, thanks for being you. Yeah. All of us, thanks for being us, because we're all in our own worlds, and luckily our worlds get to overlap, because it'd be lonely if they don't. But at the end of the day, we're all in our own worlds. We're the greatest that's ever been, the greatest that will ever be. So choose yourself above all else, and let's keep detoxing all the shit that holds us back. All right, big love, guys.
Amen.